Greetings and salutations, everybody. So, if you're here, maybe it's because you clicked on the header for the video. You've got an RV with vinyl flooring, and you got a scuff or a tear in one of your planks on the flooring. So, if that's the case, if you can get hold of the manufacturer and you can still get a piece of that vinyl, see if you can't get about maybe a 6 to 8 foot piece of the sheet vinyl from the manufacturer, wherever they got it from, because I'm going to show you how to repair just a plank on the flooring. And let me show you something here, guys. Right here, you see this? Vinyl flooring. Now it looks like plank flooring, but this is sheet vinyl. Okay? Now let's say you got a scuff or a tear in one of your planks on the floor, like that, and you want to try to replace it. Well, I'm going to show you how you can do just that, okay? So bear with me. This video is going to get a little chopped up, but let me show you what you're going to do. All right, guys, so if you're able to get hold of a piece of the sheet vinyl that you have in your RV, most times, if you're up to 4 or 5 years out of age, you'll be able to get your hands on some. You're going to have to contact your manufacturer. Now, in this case, I requested, because sheet vinyl comes in 12-foot wide rolls, I requested an 8-foot piece, because the plank pattern that I have here, that's these individual sections, those are 5 feet long. So I wanted to make sure I had enough to match up the pattern, because each one of these has a little bit different wood grain to them, okay? So as you see here, I cut out 1, 2, 3, 4. I took out 4 planks. And when you do this, guys, what you're going to want to do when you remove a plank, you're going to want to leave at least a 1/2 inch to the outside of the grout line, okay? You see that? You're going to want to cut out and leave at least a 1/2 inch outside of the grout line, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, kiddies, now, since this is the piece that I'm going to replace, here's why I told you to leave an extra 1/2 inch on the outside of your grout lines, okay? Because what you're going to do, you're going to lay that piece, you're going to overlay it over the one that you're going to cut out, okay? Now what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to line up the grout lines just like this, and see underneath there, you're going to want to line those up as well, because we're going to take a straight edge and we're going to cut that plank right out of there using the grout line to match it up. Just like that, okay? Now, guys, I want to point one thing out to you, okay? Now, every roll of flooring, whether it's carpet or linoleum, has what's called a die lot, okay? What that means is, let's say you get a whole house full of carpet, you're going to want that carpet to come off of one roll, and one roll only, if at all possible, because no 2 die lots are ever the same. They will never be exactly the same. So you can see here on camera, even though this camper is only a few months old, look at the difference in the color. This is a little bit darker, a little bit different shade of gray. This one's lighter, okay? Because this did not come off the same roll as this came from. It's physically impossible at this stage of the game. So sometimes you're going to have to punt and get what you get. Now, again, one thing I do wish is that this linoleum had a little bit wider grout line, but it does not, and that's okay. We're going to make that blend as best as possible. So you can see here, guys, I have my lines lined up as best as I can, and I taped them down like so, and the same thing on this end. Those are taped down. Now, here's a crucial part, okay? This is what I'm using as a straight edge. You can pick out whatever you want, whatever you can get your hands on, but you want as rigid and thin of a piece for a cutting edge as you can possibly get. Now, for me, since I'm in contracting, I happen to have a piece of starter around for some siding, which is made out of galvanized metal. It's very, very rigid, provides me a nice, sharp cutting edge. So what you're going to do, you see my grout line right there? What you're going to do, you want to keep the grout line. So you're going to lay that straight edge just on the outside of your grout line, and then we're going to cut. All right, we're going to cut. Now when you do this, you guys, you're going to want a very straight edge, and you want to have a brand new cutting blade in here because you want this to be as clean of a cut as possible, okay? So this is actually a carpet laying knife right here. I've got a brand new blade in here, and again, like I said, you're going to want to go to the very outside edge of your grout line. Very important. All right. And then your top grout line, you're going to want to cut right up to the outside edge of it, you guys, okay? So, here we go. I'm going to push that blade down in there, enough to cut through both pieces. Take your time. So we are clean through, guys. So here's our keeper piece. And there's our fall off from outside of the grout lines. Now our damaged piece is ready to come up. Again, you're going to do the same thing here. You're just going to clean those corners up. If you didn't get all the way through, better to stay short. There we go. All right. And there is our damaged piece right there. Now we're going to check for fitment. We'll see how we did for fitment, but we should be almost spot on. Okay, so we don't have it glued in, but we wanted to double check for fitment, okay? Now once you get this exactly in place, that is going to lay down perfectly. Look, you guys, I'll get up close, okay? Now again, we're not glued down yet. We'll have seam sealer in here. We'll have it glued down, but you can see how that is going to lay in absolutely perfect. All right, guys, we are ready to put this piece of plank down into our opening that we cut. A couple things that you're going to need, depending on what your linoleum is. There are several different kinds. There's felt back, there's fiberglass, there's a number of other products out there. This particular one we're working with is fiberglass. So you're going to want to get yourself your adhesive. Make sure that it's compatible with the type of flooring that you are putting down. This one that I have in my hand I got from Home Depot. This is made for spreading glue for fiberglass backed linoleum. You're also going to want a couple of rollers. All right, you'll see why once we get going. And another important piece is right here. This is your seam sealer. That's what's going to go down around the border. That'll marry those two pieces together. Now I want you to keep in mind, most vinyl nowadays is not full spread glue. It's perimeter glued, or what that means is around the outside walls. That's where it's fastened down with either glue, or in this case, they just set the walls right down on top of it and the walls hold it in place. So with that in mind, you're going to notice right here, see that? This is a floating floor. So what we're going to do is we're going to spread the glue about 6 inches past this piece into this entire area for proper adhesion for that piece. So that's all going to stay together, okay? Now, let's get to spreading some glue, shall we? All right, guys, this adhesive calls for 16th by 16th by 16th inch trawl, okay? So you saw what we did. We used the notched end up high, dragged it all back flat, so you have those little tiny ridges in there. Now you're gonna wanna keep a couple of damp rags, not saturated, just barely damp, okay? And you're going to use these for cleanup because this is water-based. Now you can see a couple areas where I got glue on it. So you want to get that wiped up and cleared off before it gets dry. All right. All right, guys. So now you saw we have our adhesive spread. We cleaned up any excess that might have bled onto the seams or the grout lines. We're going to let this tack up a little bit, and then we're going to go to work putting our plank panel in here. I'll show you how we're going to seam those seams back together. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so it's starting to tack up pretty well. I've got 2 damp rags with me. Again, do not saturate these, see? Just damp, that's all you want. Now, seam sealer. What we're going to do, we're just going to lightly chase the border all the way around with your seam sealer. All right. So we've got our small bead of seam sealer put down. Oh, it wasn't a wire nut, it was the top to the seam sealer. All right. Now, whatever rollers you choose, have one of those handy. And we're going to start working that piece in, okay? Now the idea here is when you get it lined up, you're going to work it like a Ziploc baggie. By running your finger up and down like a Ziploc bag snaps together. That's the same way it feels when you put this down, marrying up to the existing vinyl. So again, guys, just take your time, get those seams lined up just right. There you go. Now you see that glue is starting to come out on me there? That's what you want. That means that your pieces are all locking together the way that they should. Again, just like a Ziploc baggie zips together. That's what it's going to feel like. All right, once you got that down, you want to get that excess glue up off of there. So you're just going to want to lightly wipe it over, just enough to clean out the excess. Because you don't want to fill those cracks with water. All right. Now, we're going to take our roller, and if you feel any little high areas or anything, you're going to take that roller and just let it work its way back down naturally. There we go. Now, we're going to let this sit for about 30 minutes. We're going to come back and check all of our seams, and if we need to work them down anymore, we'll make our adjustments, and then we'll be done. All right, guys. Actually, I waited about 45 minutes before I came back in the camper. Took my roller. I went all the way around the seams again, pressing down nice and firm to make sure that every edge is sealed up tight. Nothing had let loose whatsoever. So obviously here's the piece that got replaced. You can see that as we discussed about die lots early on in this video. I'm sure in time this is going to wear in and color like the rest of it, but let's take a look how we did here. Now obviously you can see the new piece super close to the seam. You see that, okay? Now look at that as you come down the line. And once again, if you just take your time, you guys, do it right the first time, you'll be able to replace just one plank if you get a rip or a tear in your flooring of your RV. All right, you guys, so that's a wrap. I hope you found this informational and helpful if you happen to get a rip or a tear in your vinyl floor of your RV. As always, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. We got more videos coming out. Appreciate y'all being here. See ya.